Hi, and welcome to my channel. I am Haley, the clean PNR girl. I absolutely love paranormal romance, fantasy, and romance, but sometimes I don't want the spice. So I will always give you the skipped pages so that you can enjoy the book with me. I am reading the book Bride by Ali Hazelwood for my very first video on this channel, and I am wearing my Harry Potter sweater as inauguration. So the following is the vlog that I recorded as I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood, the very first book of Ali Hazelwood's I have ever read. And let me tell you, I had thoughts and I had feelings. So join me on my journey. Is that even a word? We have the bat. Oh, jeez. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have thoughts. So, the beginning of the book is the prologue. And it's the wedding. The prologue is the freaking wedding. So the prologue is normally supposed to be something that introduces you to the world, something that happened in the past. Traditionally, it's something that happened in the past. But in this case, this is not something that happened in the past. This is something that's going to happen in the future. And I actually just realized something. So apparently Ali Hazelwood is a huge Twilight fan. Like unashamedly a Twilight fan. And that makes sense that her prologue would be in the future, because if she loves Twilight to the level that she does, she subconsciously might be patterning it, because this prologue also starts in the future and Twilight's prologue starts in the future. Anyway, so she's introducing us to the world. There's vampires, there's werewolves, and vampire is spelled with a Y, which I think is fun. I like it when they do that. We've got this introduction and it's the actual wedding. And so we've got the werewolves on one side and the vampires on the other, and there's a mention of something really big that happened. I think the altar, oh, the book's over there. But it's this big issue that sounds like it was another wedding gone crazy and everybody died. So yeah, but like, this is really good. I've never read anything by Ali Hazelwood before, and if this is an indication of her writing, I'm probably going to end up going and buying her entire catalog. Like, I love this writing. She's funny and she's witty, and I love like the inner dialogue, the mind speak. Like, this is good. This is a lot of fun. But why did we go back? Ugh. I want to move forward, not go back. So now we get to go back to 6 weeks before the wedding and find out how all of this came to be. So, okay, little update. I am 56 pages into the book, and I just put something together, I think. So I really like it so far. I like the fact that there's a lot of mystery about like what's going on and what the back history is and everything with the werewolf packs and the vampires and kind of the animosity and whatnot. But she has a best friend who she grew up with, who's human, because she was a part of what they call a collateral. It's basically an exchange program where vampire went to the humans went into the vampire world, and they were collateral in case something happened. But so she was raised with this girl, Serena, and I am pretty sure that Serena is dead. Like, I want to kind of like predict that right now, that I believe Serena is dead. And I think she thinks that it was her husband, her arranged marriage husband, Lowe Moreland, who's the alpha of the pack. I think that's what's happening here. We shall find out as we continue going forward. Okay, so it's now just past midnight and I am halfway through the book. I haven't gotten this invested in a book in a really long time, so this has been really exciting for me. But just kind of a quick update on where we are. So he knows the truth about her friend who has gone missing. She had gone missing, and there had been a clue left that indicated, indicated that Lockwood, oh my gosh, not Lockwood. Oh geez. Moreland was involved, the werewolf Alpha was involved in her friend's disappearance. So that's the whole reason she accepted the marriage to begin with, because she wanted to figure out what happened to her friend. That's now out in the open, and they're figuring out what's going on, and they just went to go meet with somebody that is kind of a rival of the pack. And Lowe had to mark her so that she smelled like him, so that the other wolves would understand like the threat of if they hurt her, she was his. Anyway, it was not a traditionally sensual scene, but it was hot. Like a lot more than I was expecting it to be. So yeah, I've got to go to bed now though, because I have to get up with kids in the morning. Anyway, I will check back in when I have read a little more. I was up until midnight last night reading, which for some of you might be like simple toes with this, but for me it wasn't. I don't normally stay up that late, but I stayed up that late reading this, and I am literally halfway through the book, and I have to work today, and I'm kind of pissed off about it because I have to work, and this is going to be staring at me the whole freaking time. Like, why? I've never understood annotating books. I've always felt like that was kind of a weird thing that people did, and they did it for TikTok, and it wasn't real, and people didn't it wasn't an actual thing that people who were not trying to create an aesthetic actually did. This book is making me want to annotate it and to tab it, and I kind of have. And yes, it's a library book, and yes, I'm gonna have to take these out, but I'm gonna buy this book. So I feel like I'll just transfer them, but the writing is so good that I can't not tab it so that I can go back and read it again. Like, I've never experienced this before. This is like a whole new world opening up for me. Like, what is happening? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. So I just started reading again for today. Stayed up way too late last night. Had to get some work done, got some work done. And now I'm reading again. Very rarely does it take a book that is, I don't blush. I'm blushing a little bit. I don't blush all that often. I'm pretty stoic when I read most of the time. I'm not a super expressive person. But this book, oh my gosh, this book. I am so in love with these characters, and I am so in love with the development and how Ali has taken these characters and built them into something so sweet and so beautiful. And I'm so in love. I am so in love. This is why I want to be a writer. This is why. Is because I want people to experience the stories like this, to love these characters, to swoon over what's going on, and to just immerse yourself in that world and in those heads for a while. It's so good. It is so good. This is probably my favorite read of the last 2 years. Yes. So I'm on chapter 17. It's starting to get spicier. So it took about 100 and something pages, I think. for it to get a little spicy, and it's definitely progressing. And I've never read Ali Hazelwood before, so I don't know how fast she gets spicy, but it's definitely getting spicier. There is more happening. And you guys know me, like well, maybe you don't know me if you don't follow me on socials. I skip the spicy most of the time, because I don't totally love that. But Ali Hazelwood, she writes it in such a way that it's so integral to the story and to like what's happening. And I don't know if her other books are like that as well, but in this specific scenario, it is important. The different things are important. So I will check back in soon.
My friend is sad. I will make him happy. Yeehaw! A cowboy. And also, Mom, pause this.
Okay. Okay, update. Lowe is a jerk. Oh my gosh. I'm like feeling like real feels here right now. And oh my gosh. So we just got through some very, very spicy bits, and I kind of skip them, I skim them and whatnot, because I don't really like the spicy bits all that much. He just broke her heart, essentially. And he did it in like such a horribly callous way. And I'm really mad at him. So she just figured out that they're mates. 100%. He flat out tells her no, and that they're not, and that they can't be around each other anymore. And it's like absolutely heartbreaking. And it's awful. It's awful. You can see my son in the reflection of our window, my window. Say hello to him. Okay, go to bed, child. Way to make mommy, who was emotional, not be emotional. Go.
You're welcome.
Anyway, so that's where we're at right now. So we are at the place now where they have to reconcile. They've got to figure this out, because if they don't, it's gonna hit the fan. It will hit the fan. He's such a jerk, and she's so sweet, and it's just frickin' serves you right, you stupid idiot. It's just shy of midnight, and I finished the book. And it was a very satisfying ending. And we got a nice epilogue with a hint of what's coming next. And I am very excited. So I will do a official wrap up on my like actual tripod and stuff, so that it's not so awkward with me holding the phone. But I first find like just initial thoughts of having finished it. Good book. If you are someone who likes a more clean fiction or romance, this is probably not the author for you. I was very surprised at how much spice there was in this book, but the writing is incredible, and she does such a good job with creating stories and characters that you care about really deeply. I almost started crying at one point, which I don't normally cry when I read books, so super fun. Anyway, I'll do a full wrap up tomorrow, but I finished it 2 days, like probably 12 hours for me to read this, because I'm not a super fast reader, but it's good. It's really good. Final thoughts on Ali Hazelwood's Bride. I really, really enjoyed this book. I think it was a book that was totally immersive and something that really grabbed me from the very beginning. And I'm very thankful for it, because it's been a really long time since I've had any books really grab me and pull me in. There are a couple of notes about the world building, but first let's talk about the characters. So the character of Misery was somebody I connected with absolutely immediately. She feels out of place for her entire world. She's been kind of sent away from the vampire court and the community, and she's been living with humans, and she did that most of her years growing up, so she feels like she doesn't really know how to be a vampire, so she chooses to live in the human world after she comes of age and is no longer having to be in the human world. And it's like a whole complex for her because she missed out so much on growing up as a vampire, so she feels just very out of place. And because she's not a human in the human world, she's a vampire in the human world, she feels very out of place there. She doesn't feel like she fits in with her family, and there's a lot of evidence to that she doesn't fit in with her family, especially with her father, who is an absolute jerk. Her father is horrible to her through the whole book. Like, he could not care less about her as an individual, only of her as a political pawn, and it's really frustrating. Especially as a parent who tries really, really hard to parent all three of my very, very different children the best way that I can for them. It just, it made me so mad. So then about the male main character, Lowe, or Lowe, whatever. In my head, I kept saying Lowell because it sounded better to me, but whatever. So he is the werewolf. He is the alpha of the pack that they're making this connection with. And I feel like he was everything that I would expect and have come to expect in paranormal romance for an alpha male who is at the same time very giving and caring. So he has that protective instinct while at the same time being like the leader in charge, like, do not question me, but still having that loving and nurturing aspect to his personality that I really liked. He was very aware of what the pack was doing, the different members. He was aware of her and what her needs were. And there's an entire storyline about the mating bond between him and her, but she's not a werewolf, she's a vampire, so she can't experience it the same way. And so he doesn't tell her because he feels like she has been manipulated her entire life by other people, specifically men in her life, and so he doesn't want to put something else on her that makes her feel obligated to be with him. So we go through the entire book where, if you're an intelligent reader, I feel like you know that she's his mate. But if you've never experienced that before in paranormal romance or paranormal fiction, then you might not know what's going on. But I've read a lot of these types of books, so I was really clear really early what was happening with her. So they're mated, but she doesn't totally understand. There's some intimacy issues because they are of different species. They work those out. And I feel like the characters were so strong, and I really was rooting for them, and I really wanted them to work, and they did, because it's a happily ever after, because like, you can't do a romance novel without a happily ever after. Now onto the world building, where I have some critiques. So world building for this book was done in a very good way at the beginning. I felt like Ali did a really good job of dropping hints and ideas of what was going on in the world and how it was structured and formatted. But as the book continued, I expected us to get more information, get a little bit more detail, a little bit more history of what had been happening in this region, and we never got it. All of the parts where we would have gotten some really great info, she just kind of glossed over, and she explained it away by saying, like, Misery didn't understand all of the history anyway because she'd been out of the vampire world and she didn't understand werewolf politics. So she kind of just, like, she does 2 or 3 scenes like that where Misery is just kind of, she zones out because she doesn't care, and it makes sense for the character to do that. But as a reader, I was so disappointed because I wanted to really get in there. And I really wanted to understand what was happening, especially because the epilogue is a cliffhanger for a new book that's happening in the same world. So I'm like, okay, we're going to be in this world for longer than one book. I really would like to know more about the world. So yeah, that was my biggest hang up with the book itself, was just the amount of like lack of world building that ended up happening like halfway through the book. It was really disappointing for me, and I was really, really hoping that we would get to a place where we were getting more depth, but we never did. So that was that. One note, I did not realize how spicy this book was going to be. I know I kind of make a note of it earlier in my earlier vlog, but it was I keep track. So I keep track of pages because I call them the skip list. And it's like the pages that you can skip if you're not wanting to read graphically intimate scenes. And I think I got to 6 or 7 scenes that were intimately graphic in nature, and I was really surprised how many there were, and that the book itself ended on a graphic intimate scene. That did kind of pull me out of the story a little bit, because it was very much like, whoa, TMI, like I'm fine not knowing all of the nitty gritty graphic details about how every part of your body feels, but that's just me personally, which is why, my handle is Clean PNR Girl. But yeah, so if you are interested in that skip list, it'll be listed below in the description of the video so that you can skip it if you want to. Overall though, absolutely loved this book. I think that she is an incredible writer. I actually, from the library, and I'm looking at them, that's why I look over there. I got from the library all of the Ali Hazelwood books. So I'm going to read them all, and then I'll probably do a short little wrap up video about the books next week, in a couple of weeks. I don't know, we'll see how often I post. But that is my review of Ali Hazelwood out of 5 stars. I think I would give it a 4.5 maybe. It loses a little bit for me just because of how much graphic content was in it. But the storyline and the world building and the characters I fell in love with. So absolutely wonderful. Like and subscribe if you would like some more reviews like this, where kind of come along with me and read. If you have any suggestions of paranormal romance books that I have not read or that you love, let's have to do that. If you love paranormal romance, drop your favorite paranormal romance novel in the comments, and I will go find them and read them, or listen to them if they are an audiobook. Anyway, so thank you so much. Happy reading, and have a wonderful Friday.